Good, beautiful afternoon, everyone. It is Friday, November 11th, 2022. Happy Veterans Day. And thank you to all those veterans who gave everything for us. And we're going to take a little hike today on the West Lake Trail here in Everglades National Park. You know what to do. Grab yourself a tasty treat, beverage your choice, and keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside this vlog at all times. It's just going to be me today. The boys are actually with me, but they're going to sit and enjoy some father-son video game playing in the car while I take this hike. This is a short hike. It is accessible. It is a boardwalk, so it is a good hike to do with your little ones or your elderly or any of the ohana that you are traveling with. It actually was just fairly redone. It had just newly reopened last season when we were here. It had received a lot of damage from storms a couple years previous to that. So let's take a little walk. I wanted to stop and let some other guests pass first, but I wanted to give a little mention that this is going out on Saturday, which I'm trying to start lining up certain themes for certain days of the week. Saturday is usually my nature and or science Saturday, science and nature Saturday, I guess you'd best call it, which kind of sometimes for me means it could be another hike like I do on Trail Tuesdays, or just other sites around national parks, state parks, preserves, you name it. Maybe sometimes I'll fit in a science museum. You never know. So hiking then will sometimes be found on Tuesdays, maybe sometimes on Saturdays, just to give that little heads up. So now let's take a little walk. It is a little warm today, so the boys decided, like I said, they would just as soon have some nice father-son bonding time, playing some video games. Water levels are really heavy. Of course, we've just had two big storms come through Florida. Of course, the real big one, Ian, and then we just had Nicole pass through a couple days ago. So it has left a lot of water, but for this part, it's not heavily damaged, so it actually is a good thing. So you're going to kind of maybe get some sights at some things you might not normally see if you're hiking during a drier season. So always stop and kind of look in the water, because you never know. You might see frogs, you might see fish, snakes, baby alligators. Never know. It's always worth stopping and taking a peek. They did a really nice job on this boardwalk when they refurbed it. Really a beautiful job. And if you're not aware, my husband, Mark, works here at Everglades National Park. He works with utilities. So this is obviously something, even though they don't do with me today, there's always plenty of chances to come. There is not a breath of wind out here today. Everything is so still. Like how the sun is filtering down through, looking at the tannins a little bit here. There is some nice interp signs along the path. Of course, the sun's reflecting a little bit. Let me step to the side. This one's talking about oasis aloft. Notice the bromeliads or air plants growing on tree branches. A small pool of rainwater collects at the base of the air plant's leaves. This tank provides a haven for frogs, insects, small snakes, and other wildlife. 2 species of mosquitoes depend on these tanks as habitat. Yes, we have many, many different species, varieties of mosquitoes here in the Everglades. Believe it or not, I don't know the current count. They're discovering new species all the time. Anyway, air plants don't harm their host trees, so that's nice to know. As I walk along, I also want to show you how a lot of this is new growth. A lot of times after you have storm damage, there is, after a few years, a lot of regrowth. This is actually one of the first trails Mark and I ever hiked years ago before he ever even started working for the park. This sign's talking about white mangrove. This tropical tree is a world traveler, but quite rare here on the West Lake Trail. White mangroves live along the coast of West Africa, South America, the Caribbean, and Florida. See if you can spot one nearby or close to Flamingo. Look for 2 swollen glands at the base of each thick oval leaf. Unlike other mangroves, these trees can grow well above the high tide mark. Interesting. Snorkeling tree. Well, that's an interesting term. Snorkeling tree. To tell a black mangrove from red or white, look for pencil-like growths pointing up from the ground. These pneumatophores, I'm guessing, serve as breathing tubes. They help black mangrove exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide in the waterlogged soils of the mangrove swamp. Years ago, Florida pioneers burned black mangrove for its smoke that makes a potent mosquito repellent. Interesting. I see some fish and stuff jumping around down in there. Little schools. So it's funny, it's really actually a little bit unseasonably warm here today for mid-November. We are in the high 80s, quite humid here. Where Teddy's godmoms live in Franklin, Nebraska, they woke up to 17 degrees. Quite a difference. Always take time to peek over the edge. Don't ever be in such a hurry. Oh, like even some bigger fish there. Let me try to zoom in. Sorry, it takes a while to focus, and the way the sunlight is, I don't think I can get it come out too well. Anyway, as I was saying, of course, unless you're doing a Teddy tour, which sometimes is a little bit speedier. Now we're getting closer to the opening in the water. You are going to feel the breeze pick up a little bit. And then this is a split. I recommend going to the left first. Doesn't really matter though. Stopping here to tell you a little bit before I really get out in the breezy part. So this is one of the nice parts about this hike is if you're a little bit warm after just leaving the parking lot, you get a nice chance to cool down out here before you head back through to go back out to the parking lot. And now I'm reaching the opening. And there's lots of nice chances here for some pretty views to just sit and relax, take it all in, take time to look around for what you might find. and enjoy the breezes that are coming back up again. Nice bench out here. Good place to sit, rehydrate, maybe have a snack out of your pack, as long as you remember, pack in, pack out. Take out your trash with you and please properly dispose of it. Or you could sit with a sketch pad, journal, or just sit, take it all in, meditate a bit. It is actually really a beautiful, beautiful afternoon out here with this nice breeze. Really glad I decided to get out and take a stroll. And there's another bench here in the other corner of the overlook area. Breezes are picking up quite nicely. A little breezy for filming, but I did sit on that bench for a while. And just take it all in. Listening to an osprey off in the distance. Really quite lovely. So this will loop you right back out to where the intersection was, and then retrace your steps right back out to the parking area. Oh, trail hazard! So many of you may not know this. A lot of national parks have trail crews. And not that this is a big hazard, but just made me think to give you this little bit of a trivia tidbit of Everglades National Park. We actually do not have a quote unquote trail crew like some big parks do, like Great Smoky Mountains or Yosemite, Yellowstone, whatever. Our maintenance department will usually be the ones to come out and, you know, clear this out of the way, or perhaps a volunteer will. We have a really great set of VIPs here in this park in all of the districts. So yeah, just a little nerdy tidbit. We don't have a separate trails crew. So if Mark was still on maintenance, this might have been something he would have done. Now he's on utilities, doesn't tend to that so much, but there's your little nerdy tidbit of the day. Coming right back to the intersection. It's funny, after you've been on that nice breeze, all of a sudden this feels so hot to you. 10-foot fronds. In Florida, you can see a greater diversity of ferns than any other part of the continental United States. Why so many? It's the mixture of climates. Here, temperate ferns live side by side with their tropical cousins. Leather fern, growing here, is the largest tropical fern, ranging from Florida to the Caribbean to Latin America. Awesome. And I love how these interp signs are in Spanish as well. Teddy's trying really hard to want to learn Spanish. And Mark and I are trying to learn along with him. Of course, we're older. It's not going to be as easy for us, but we are participating in it as a family. I don't know if you're picking that up in my mic or not, but there's a raven up there clucking at me. I see you. I hear you. Have a good afternoon. So like I had mentioned, that's where I had entered into the big circle that goes out near the open water. And this just leads you back to the parking lot. So I'm about ready to exit. I'm not sure. I got this sign when I was going in. A maze of mangroves. Everglades National Park's mangrove zone is a maze of creeks, rivers, ponds, and lakes. You can find 3 types of mangroves here: black, red, and white. You might find it surprising that South Florida's mangroves come from completely different plant families, but they share an ability to thrive in soggy, salty, oxygen-poor places with tropical weather. That's pretty cool. So I had left them in a different spot, and all of a sudden I come out to find my chauffeurs here with the air conditioning running. Well, hello there, boys. But before I get back in, I did want to show you that there are also restrooms here and a very nice picnic area. So I'm going to come up and show you that. I knew my chauffeur would follow me. So a little cool little secret about this spot: you get a pretty cool looking sunrise in the morning. So if you're heading up through to Flamingo or leaving Flamingo early in the morning, this is a beautiful spot to catch a bit of some color from the sunrise. You also can launch a canoe or a kayak from here. Nice covered picnic spot. And restrooms. And I have a funny story about these restrooms. Mark and I's very first visit to Everglades National Park was shortly before we left to go to our season at Yellowstone. So it must have been like January of 2017. And we met a maintenance worker here at these restrooms. His name was Zach. And we got chatting with him, talking shop and this and that. And then we left, went to Yellowstone, and our first day at work, we met Zach and worked with him our season, summer of 2017 at Yellowstone. So pretty cool little interesting tidbit about us. And now here we are. Mark worked 2 seasons here and now working permanent. And I like capturing these too, because I know there's some people out there that are nerdy about these things like I am. So I'm going to close it out here. Hope you enjoyed my little look at Westlake here in Everglades National Park. Peace and love, gang. Keep adventuring and be half on old peg leg. Keep that stick on the ice. See you next adventure.